What's up, gamers? So, I walked into the break room today and Olivia from accounting has completely hijacked the vacation calendar. At first, I'm thinking, finally, somebody's planning PTO like a responsible adult. But nope, there are sticky notes everywhere. One says June 16th, another says play this first, then there's one that says too long, save for the weekend, and my personal favorite, Scruffy would not finish this. So I'm standing there like, Olivia, are you planning summer vacation or assigning homework to my backlog? But then when I take a closer look, this woman is planning the PlayStation Plus game catalog like it's a company budget. And honestly, she might be onto something because June's PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium lineup is bringing a messy pile of big names, weird swings, time sinks, and at least one game that looks like it escaped from a dusty PlayStation time capsule. So before we get into this, do me a favor, smash that like button if your backlog is already sweating like mine, subscribe if you want the monthly catalog chaos cleanup, and tell me in the comments down below, what are you downloading first? Now let's grab them off. And don't act busy because PlayStation just turned June into a scheduling problem and somebody has to help me clean this backlog spill. First up, we have Final Fantasy XVI. This one is coming to the game catalog on PS5. And yeah, this is the big one. It's a mainline Final Fantasy game, but instead of old school party menus and cozy crystals, this is a dark fantasy action RPG full of kingdoms, betrayals, giant icon battles, and Clive Rossfield having one of the worst weeks in gaming history. The combat is fast, the story is huge, the boss fights look like somebody gave a dragon a budget meeting and told it to be dramatic. If you want cinematic action, massive monsters, magic, politics, and emotional damage wearing armor, this is probably where June starts. This is Final Fantasy with trauma, fire, and Red Dew boss fights. Next up is Sonic X Shadow Generations. This one is for PS5 and PS4 in PlayStation's June game catalog, and it brings that speed and nostalgia combo right into the catalog. You're getting Sonic Generations with this classic meets modern Sonic setup, but now there's also a new Shadow campaign, and Shadow is not the kind of character people casually remember. No, Shadow fans show up like there's a dramatic wind machine waiting outside. This is fast platforming, remix stages, boosting through levels, and enough early 2000s edge to make the breakroom lights flicker. It's one of those games that feels built for people who remember Sonic history, but also want something new to chase. And with Shadow getting his own section, this is not just a quick nostalgia lap, this is nostalgia moving so fast it almost outruns your backlog. Kingdom Come Deliverance is also joining the PlayStation catalog. This one is on PS4 and PS5, and it is a very different kind of RPG. No magic, no dragons, no glowing chosen one nonsense. Just mud, swords, bad decisions, and Henry trying to survive medieval life without getting folded behind a tavern. This is a historical RPG built around realism, choice, survival, and grounded combat. You're not instantly becoming a fantasy superhero, you have to learn, you have to prepare, you have to actually think before running into a fight like you saw one sword video online and suddenly became dangerous. That's what makes it stand out. It's slower, more detailed, and way more committed to making medieval life feel rough. This is medieval life, but HR forgot the safety training. Next is Life is Strange Double Exposure. This one is coming to PS5 on the PlayStation catalog, and it brings Max Caulfield, which already tells you somebody's feelings are about to get thrown into the emotional paper shredder. This is a narrative adventure game built around mystery, choices, relationships, and two different timelines, because apparently one reality was not complicated enough. Max is trying to solve a murder, but instead of just dealing with the normal nightmare of grief and investigation, she's moving between timelines, watching how things change, and trying to figure out what choice is going to make everything worse. That's the Life is Strange formula. It's not always about explosions or giant boss fights. Sometimes the scariest thing is one conversation, one decision, or realizing the timeline has receipts. This is what happens when emotional damage gets a multiverse. Farming Simulator 25 is also dropping into the PlayStation's June game catalog. This one is on PS5, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Farming, but serious. You're dealing with crops, equipment, animals, production chains, land, machines, and that weird realization that virtual farm work can somehow become relaxing. This is not a game where you save the universe. You save the harvest, you plan the fields, you drive tractors, you manage resources, you look at a patch of land and say, yeah, I can turn this into a spreadsheet with dirt on it. And that is the trap. It looks peaceful, it sounds peaceful, then suddenly it is 1 AM, you're checking crop prices, and Olivia from accounting is asking why your fake farm has better planning than the break room budget. Next up is Blades of Fire. This one is coming to PS5 in PlayStation's June game catalog. Now we're back in fantasy action territory, but the big hook here is weapon forging. You're not just picking up a random sword, swinging it around and calling yourself ready. You're crafting weapons, shaping how they work, and then taking those weapons into heavy combat against dangerous enemies. So the fantasy is not just, I found a cool blade. It's more like, I personally manufactured this problem solver, and now I'm taking it to work. This is something very scruffy janitor about it. Then using it to clean up a disaster, except instead of a mop, it's a weapon. And instead of a spill, it's probably a monster with a bad attitude. This is what happens when blacksmithing gets tired of being peaceful. Next up is Black Desert. This one is coming to PS5 in PlayStation's June game catalog, and this is where your free time needs to hide under the table. Black Desert is an online action MMORPG, which means huge world, flashy combat, deep character customization, exploration, grinding, life skills, and about 17 different systems waiting to grab your evening by the ankles. You make a character, then you tweak the character, then you start exploring, then you get into combat, then you realize there are life skills. Then you're suddenly not playing a quick session anymore. You've joined a fantasy economy and nobody asked if your schedule was okay. That's the danger with MMOs. They do not politely ask for your time, they just slowly move into your house and start ladling cabinets. This is the game that looks at your free time and says, it's mine now. And finally, the PlayStation Classics catalog is adding Gitaroo Man. This one is for PS5 and PS4 through PlayStation Plus Premium, and it is a PS2 rhythm game, which means we have officially reached a part of the lineup where the break room starts making cartoon sound effects. Gitaroo Man is one of those cult classics that sound simple for about 3 seconds, then you realize it has music battles, rhythm action, weird characters, and pure PlayStation 2 energy. It's not just press buttons to the song, it feels more like somebody turned a rhythm game into a boss fight and gave it a fever dream soundtrack. And honestly, that's what makes it interesting. It is strange, specific, and full of personality. That is the kind of classic that reminds you how weird games used to get. This feels like PS2 memory somebody found under the break room couch. June's PlayStation Plus game catalog is not one clean theme. This is PlayStation giving you a big cinematic RPG, speed and nostalgia, medieval suffering, timeline mystery, farming, fantasy combat, MMO grinding, and a PS2 rhythm classic all in the same month. It's not a lineup, that is summer homework with trophies attached, and depending on what kind of player you are, this month can hit completely different. So now we're back in the break room, and Olivia from accounting is still at the vacation calendar, except now she has completely lost control. She blocked off 1 weekend for the big RPG, 1 lunch break for the fast one sick day for farming, and there's 1 giant section that just says, do not start unless life is stable. And honestly, that might be the most responsible thing Olivia has ever written, because you're not picking a game this month, you're picking which problem your free time gets assigned to. Well, that's all I got. I gotta bounce before Olivia uses my PTO to schedule my backlog, marks June 16th as a mandatory meeting, and somehow follows medieval suffering under workplace training. But before I go, do me a favor, smash that like button if your backlog just got worse, and subscribe if you want the monthly PlayStation Plus chaos cleaned up. Now tell me in the comments down below, what are you downloading first? Final Fantasy XVI, Sonic, Kingdom Come, Life is Strange, or one of the weird picks? This is Scruffy the Janitor signing off. Peace out.